in winter time. I'm like, why do I live here?
Also, just like waking up, it's like, oh, you see the sun, it's time to wake up. But like in winter, it's like, I have to wake up because coffee. It's really like dark outside.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself as a DJ. How long have you been playing in our fine city for?
Oh, so I started about coming up to like 3 years ago now, and honestly, this journey feels like it's gone so quickly. But obviously, there was like lockdown involved, and you know, when we're not in lockdown, I feel like just been very lucky. People like really giving me great opportunities and believing in me, and met a lot of great people along the way and never looked back since.
That's great. So would you say like being a DJ has become like a fairly core part of like who you are as a person, and like has that, do you think that potentially predates 3 years in a way? Like, is it something that you thought about for a while as part of who you are, as someone that music is very important to you, and you know, you've got a really clear vision of what you want to do with it?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't know if people know this, but like from a very young age, I did classical music. And
what kind of stuff?
Like piano, violin, and then I also played for some orchestras back then.
How was that?
It was really good, and I really enjoyed like performing, the whole aspect of performing, and then, you know, being able to put my twist in playing music. And then I decided to ditch my passion for music.
Why do you think that was?
I was really focused on like design. So I was like coming out of high school, and you know, I was like, it's either one or the other, but little did I know I can actually do both.
That's great.
Yeah.
So design is part of your day-to-day life as well?
Yeah, aesthetics, design. I love being creative, all forms of creativity. And then obviously like in Melbourne, it's hard not to go out, and sort of like fell in love with like dance music and how it makes me and others feel. Yeah. And then, I just thought, you know, I've got this passion in music. I want to learn how to do it. And then
you got lots of years of ear training predating club life.
Yeah.
And so was there a particular like dance floor moment or like epiphany moment where you were like, oh, I have to DJ, like I need to learn this?
Actually, when I was in Thailand.
Oh, really?
I was really not vibing the music in Thailand. Maybe it was the clubs that we went to were wrong.
Yeah.
But me and my friends went to Thailand, and we like traveled there, but just the music was not my vibe. And I realized like there's so much better music out there that those people haven't heard of before. And after that trip, I came back and I was like, this is it. I'm going to find a way to learn it. And just really like dug into learning. I went on Your Shot DJing, and that was really good to like teach me the basics as well.
Yeah, sweet. That's so cool. And so, I mean, most KISS listeners would know your name slathered over all of the flyers every weekend. So, I mean, obviously at the moment, like things are going well for you in terms of gigs. Are you happy with like the crews that you're playing with, the venues that you're playing at? Like, how is your kind of DJ experience right now going?
Like I said earlier before, I've met some really amazing people along the way, and you know, some people have put me on some really great events, some ones that I've really enjoyed in the past. Obviously, I rave about Revolver. Like most people would know me from Revolver, most people have seen me from there, but playing there was definitely a highlight.
Fantastic.
Also love playing at Glamorama. I think it's definitely an up and rising club / bar that is gaining a lot of attractions for a reason. So I recommend that place. Some upcoming events that I'm really looking forward to is playing at Picnic for my first time.
Wow.
So that's going to be in February, 20th of February. I rate. I think it'll be a good one.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So that's what's happening right now in Melbourne in the world of march long, but I want to talk to you about the future. Tell me where you're going, girl. What would you like, what is your, goals and dreams with this music thing? Is it nice just to have like a second weekend gig that you enjoy, or are you let's do some live manifestation on the show?
Yeah, thank you.
Where would you like to go with it?
So I love Melbourne, and I definitely want to still like play more places, and there's a few places that are on my bucket list that I want to play, such as like XC54, but in terms of long term, I have thought about taking my music to a place in Europe. I think like my sound and just a lot of the artists that I find a lot of inspiration through that I play are from Europe, Berlin, Belgium, Italy, even France.
Yeah, nice.
So not sure.
How would you describe like the sound, or who are some of the artists that you like tagging there, sort of like in Belgium or France, or like obviously Berlin is somewhere that a lot of artists will mention, as electronic music artists, but like what I guess what puts your sound aside as being like that kind of Euro sound, or like how would you describe it? How would you compare it to?
Well, I think European sound a little bit more like forward thinking, like their sound is a little bit less friendly, a bit more on the fringe. They're quite unapologetic, and they also look back in time to get inspiration from the past for the future. So yeah, I find that like the industrial, like trancey sound is gaining a lot of attraction at the moment in like places in Europe. And every time I do play this kind of sound, it does get a really good reaction in Melbourne. So yeah, and this kind of sound really like motivates me as well, and I'm sure it motivates other people.
For sure. And so are you dipping your toe into production at all? Is that on the cards, or?
That's definitely on the cards, but I'm a bit slow.
Oh, me too.
Anyway. And I do set a really high standard for myself, so it is definitely in the works in making.
I think it's a challenge, like if I guess my experience like DJing for a while and then like trying to start getting into the production, producing tracks, that you have already such a like developed ear about what you like, and obviously when you first start something you're not at like the top level, like the very first second that you start, like it takes a lot of time to learn that level of skill. But we already have like the ear of like where we want it to be, and I think it's like a challenge to not be expecting or not be harsh on yourself for not getting.
I think like that's definitely the case, but I'm like one of those people that just sets really high expectations for myself. So before I ever like put out anything, I do try my best to give it my best before I put it out, and then obviously there's always going to be like a learning curve at the start. Even now, still learning. But
for sure.
It's all about the journey, and
there's always more to learn.
It never stops.
For sure. So yeah, I think that's great to like set high standards of what you want from your outputs, but take your time, and don't not do it for that reason, you know what I mean?
I think like production is also something that I've wanted to get into, mostly because I have a really specific sound that I want to be able to let people know, and a lot of like concepts and how I feel. And I always say like my music speak louder than my words, so I think production would be able to really amplify that. And I'm sure for yourself, you'll feel the same way. In terms of like producing music, it really does like show people like where you come from and how you feel. Well, I can't wait to hear it. Thank you.
And so today you're gonna play some, you can play whatever you want, right? Like we're here in the radio, there's no pressure, there's no crowd, people are listening, but I guess you have a really free range compared to like, okay, you got opening slot, or okay, it's
absolutely
3 a.m. and it's techno night or whatever. Like there's no kind of parameters here. Like, so what kind of has your music changed at all, like during lockdowns and stuff? Like, have you kind of gone in a different direction? Has that given you more exploration of sounds outside of club sounds, or like?
Well, yeah, definitely. I'm constantly collecting new music. And constantly just, on Spotify or SoundCloud or Instagram or Beatport, just looking for new music. So I guess when you do look for new music, that slowly gradual will change. Even like, 2 years ago on Kiss FM, my music taste has changed drastically since then.
Is that the last time you were in the studio?
2 years ago,
right.
It's been 2 years. I think today, I'm not really sure what I'll play, but
the magic will come out.
Yeah, a little bit more like friendlier music. I like to describe it as electronic because it can range from like house, progressive, techno, melodic, trance, but with that electronic sound and twist to it. And that's something that I try to bring to like all of my sets. No matter what kind of set I play, there's that electronic influence behind it. So I think that'll definitely show today's set.
Cool. And have you had any, like, I don't know, other than obviously you mentioned that you really enjoyed playing it with Revolver and Glamorama, but has there been anything about your journey as a DJ that's been like really kind of life affirming, or to the contrary, like has there been any horror stories that you feel like being able to overcome that has, really set you on a really good path? Or?
Absolutely. So I think making mistakes have been a really good learning curve, because
it's stressful for someone like you're saying so you set yourself high standards, and then everybody makes mistakes whether you have high standards or not.
I think it's good that like I made mistakes and it's been in the club where there's like heaps of people like watching me, because that's sort of like how I really learnt. I didn't really have decks at home when I first started because of the price. Like these things are kind of quite expensive.
Crazy,
and it takes time to save money and get it, but just playing in the clubs and making those mistakes and playing in the clubs where there's no one to a lot of people has been a really good journey in learning. So like that's sort of like something that I've learnt along the way. In terms of like highs,
has that hardened you up a bit, like, or made you relax a bit more, because like that happened and it was still a great night, so
those mistakes you just sort of learn. It's like, if this happens over like again, like for example, it goes into emergency loop, there's no one around to help you, what do you do? And then you have to think on the spot, or else the music's gonna people are gonna dance, that pressure really does help on this part.
DJs were
so just things like that. But you have your highs, you have your lows, and the highs are really high and the lows are really lows, and that's just part of the journey that I like to talk about.
And so if you had a low, like, I mean, how do you kind of recalibrate? I mean, it is a very high and low emotions kind of industry, like obviously being around so much noise and so many people and so much excitement, and then not like that contrast can be very like psychologically impactful for some DJs. Is there anything that you have learnt or would advise or like want to share about how you kind of like manage those contrasts?
Honestly, it's still a struggle that a lot of DJs and myself like go through all the time, like just from weekend to weekday, and that transition is always a bit much. But I have this thing that I do where I take myself on dates, and I've been doing this for
that's beautiful.
I've been doing this since like early uni days, and it's awesome because you don't have to do things with other people. You can actually like really take care of yourself, whether it's just going to the movies or you know, even during lockdown times, I went to like the markets, got my favorite food and just ate it outside. Just little things like that to just really replenish, and that helps the transition.
Self-care, self-love.
Yeah. Self-care, self-love.
And time alone, it sounds like that.
Yeah.
Quality time alone. Yeah. That's really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. We're going to have a really, really quick break and then we're going to get you on the deck. So everybody give a look to Kiss. We'll be back in 2 seconds with a beautiful set from MARSH.
Yarra Youth Services and Vinyl Vixen's DJ Skills program is back. This empowering program for girls and gender diverse young people aged 15 to 25 is held each Wednesday from 4 to 6 at Yarra Youth Services, 156 Napier Street, Fitzroy. Participants learn DJ skills on a wide range of equipment and get advice from incredible artists from the Vinyl Vixens DJ Collective. DJ Skills, Wednesday 4 to 6 during school term at Yarra Youth Services.
Did you miss your favorite Kiss FM show? Well, we've got you covered. Kiss FM has partnered with Mixcloud to provide all our shows on demand 24 hours a day, so you never miss a Kiss show again. For more info, check out kissfm.com.au/Kiss on Demand.
kissfm.com.au. Dance Music Australia.
You're listening to Ibiza in September. MARSH in the mix. Take it away.
It's time to bump. 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 It's time to bump.
This with Marsh Long. Just having a really quick break, and we'll be back with more.
Melbourne Roadside Rescue are your #1 team for roadside assistance, whether it be for a new battery, flat tyre help or general assistance with an unresponsive vehicle. They can even help if you put the wrong fuel in your car or get locked out of your